the first year we came to Hallandale, Minnesota was in 1947. They used to send a field man from Hallandale, Minnesota to Eagle Pass. And see, my brother was here before 1947. He was here for 1946, working here in the Beats and wherever he found a job here in Hallandale. So he invited us. He said that the fieldman had come over his house and he invited us, and so we came with him in his 1940 pickup. From Eagle Pass, Texas, we come about in April because my husband used to help Mr. Case, Mr. Hoagland, in the warehouse, cleaning getting the tractors ready and the trucks ready for the summer months. So that was in about April. And then we went back to Eagle Pass, Texas, and during about the 15th of November we went back. 9 years. We used to come back and forth to Texas. There were lots of people. You know, they used to, some Texans, they used to own trucks. And they used to gather a lot of people to come here or Nebraska or Michigan or whatever. In Texas, there's no jobs at all. And now there's no, when we go visit our family in Texas, in Eagle Pass, there's no jobs at all. The very first 2 years, I don't remember, but I think it was 35 cents an hour. And then after about 2 years after that, we were getting 50 cents an hour. My two sons, they were about, my younger son was about 8 years old when he started working out on the field with Mr. Hoagland. And my older one, he was 10. So we used to help Mr. Hoagland with his field work.
I was born in Geneva, Minnesota, maybe 15 miles north of here. I remember as a little kid that we used to travel back and forth from Texas to Minnesota because, you know, Mom and Dad were working out in the fields. And I do remember being out in the sugar beet fields in Hallandale, in Geneva area too. And I think, well, when I was little, I would always try to help Mom and Dad, but actually is when they gave me my own hoe to use, I think must have been maybe 12 years old. I remember doing that, yeah. Because I remember when I was 12 years old, I got my first paycheck. We worked for Case Hoagland. He was our number one boss, you know, because we always worked for him. But through the years, we worked for different farmers too. And heck, I remember even in high school, in the summertime, we'd go to other towns to work on the sugar beets or in beans too.
My younger son, he cried one time because the dirt, it used to be real bad, and we used to scratch a lot. And he started working, and he said, I will never work here again. I'm going to go to school and finish up and start working in town because I will never come and work out on the fields. This is not for me, so.
It was pure hell. I mean, especially if you worked in a field that had peat in it, some kind of, I don't know if you heard of peat, dirt, you know, it just, if it gets in your legs or in your whole body, it itches you. Oh, it got so bad sometimes it would make me cry, and I just hated it, you know.
Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave, you know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well,
there used to be a little shack right here, and in the middle used to be a big red house. That's where I was born. And over here in front of this big tree, well, see that big tree right there? My dad planted that tree in 1953, wasn't it, Ma? Yeah, I remember, I was real little, but I faintly remember it was just a little twig like that he planted on the ground. And right in back with our house, kind of towards the back to the side, that's where we lived. It was just what they call, it was more or less like a chicken coop, more or less like a Quonset hut, like that. Right here in these, back there a little bit, my aunt and Chuy and Mika lived. The last, it was a little Quonset house too. I remember my dad playing the guitar, and my uncles, everybody would get together and we'd sing, and my dad would play the guitar.
You know, sometimes there was good times out in the fields when we were little, because Dad, you know, we'd go out in the fields and he'd park the car in the fields, but there was no shade out there, so he'd always make sure had 2 sticks, and he would make like a little tent over the car with burlap bags or sacks, burlap sacks, and that way that was our shade. And he would dig a hole in the ground and put the jug of water in there so it'd stay cooler. Yeah. So I remember that being fun, you know.
When we moved here, it was just that brick foundation, but it was up high. It must have sunk down, I'm sure it did. And that's where my dad would sit. We all sit here and just have a good old time. And that area right there is where our house was, little hut. And back there behind that tree, there used to be 2 outhouses. That was our bathroom. And then back there I remember there used to be a couple apple trees, and you know, we'd climb those trees and just get apples, and we'd play all around this area in the woods, you know. But like I said, when I was little, I always thought it was so big here. But times change, you know. It just seems different.
For Gloria and Ren and Junior, this is right there where I took their picture.
Well, we were thinking of staying because my older kids were missing a lot of school, and every time they moved here, they had to go back one year. So I kind of told my husband one time, I said, we should stay here. One time my little girl, she was about 2 years old, and she got very sick, and I took her to the doctor, to Albert Lee, and the doctor, Hansen, said that she had tuberculosis in one of her spine bones. So he said that it was better if we stay here and cure that. So we did. We took her to Rochester, and then she was in Cannon Falls, Minnesota. She was there for 9 months.
I remember her being in the hospital, and I remember going to visit her just about every weekend. We went to visit her every weekend. And as far as having an effect on the family, I think I was too little to realize what was going on. All I knew is that we had to go visit Gloria every Sunday.
We were living in the house where we used to work in Hollandale with Case Hoagland. He was a very, very nice man. So from there, when we told him about my girl, he said that he would fix the little house we were living in. That was a little shanty house. It was just one room.
Case Hoagland, God, he treated us real good. I remember as when I was little, I was too little to actually go work out in the fields. Then Dad and Mom would leave us with Chuck Hoagland. We stayed there and played with Chuck with his toys, because he was the only one that had store-bought toys, so we played outside with him.
Some people were very nice. They just went out their way to be nice to us, and some didn't.
I remember going to grade school, I didn't feel any different, because I was so little. The only time I felt different is when I got to junior high. Then I started noticing that some kids wouldn't talk to you, and you know, like that, but then I remember meeting some other friends, like Rich Olson, when this guy we call Gertie, and the Gotlands, and another family Olsons, and we got to be real good friends.
We were friends right away with the Mexican people that were here. They told us that we were the first Mexican people that came here for many, many years, about 20 years. We lived in High Street in 1969. We lived there for 17 years. In 1991, we sold the house to my son. So we decided to go back to Eagle Pass, Texas, to see how things were there, because it was too cold then for us. So when we came back from Texas, after we retired, that we came back when my son died, that's when I noticed that there were a lot of illegals here. It didn't matter. It didn't matter to me because they wanted to have a better jobs, better living, like we did when we came from Texas.
Well, they want a better life for themselves, better wages, and that's why another reason why we stayed here too. Really, it all depends who you are. Some people say it's good, and then other people say it's not. But see, the people that say that it's not, they got to realize that their ancestors were here illegally too. So everybody here was here illegally, basically, So everybody's got to realize that everybody came from someplace else.
My older boys really appreciated that they were raised here in Alberley, in Minnesota. They really appreciate that we raised my older kids here. And I got my younger ones too.
Dicen que yo no lo sé, camino real de Colima. Dicen que yo no lo sé, ¿cómo no lo he de saber? Si en el camino me crié, ¿cómo no lo he de saber? Si en el camino me crié.